Hello, everyone. Welcome to MGG Live. Happy Canada Day to all my fellow Canadians and anyone worldwide that wants to celebrate with us. This is the birth of our country in 1867. 1867. Yeah, 1867. um, July 1st, we were signed and we became the Dominion of Canada. And to celebrate today, I slept in, and then I woke up. My wife and my daughter were making cookies, so I got a cookie, made myself a coffee, went into the backyard, looked at all the stuff in my backyard that I should probably do today, and then proceeded to do none of it. Um, just relaxed most of the day. It was a fun day for me. Just resting and hanging out and doing whatever. Um, my daughter and my wife have gone down to the zoo that is the lakeshore for some fireworks tonight. And no Zen bloke, I'm not going to give you a verse or two of "Oh Canada." Nobody wants to hear me singing. I'm not that bad, but I'm not great. Uh, but to celebrate, I'm here because I didn't want to go to the zoo down at the lakeshore. And honestly, so my wife is in real estate. My daughter gets way more than enough of me. I pick her up from school every day. I do the homework with her. I make all the dinners. I usually after dinner I play with my kids. So it's good for them to have some one-on-one time. And I'll be completely honest. Like I said, I didn't want to go to the zoo down there. So uh, they are supposedly having fun in the incredible heat right now. So yes, Canada Day is a real thing. We are our own country, believe it or not. We have been for a very long time. Let's say hello to the chat. Before we say hello to the chat, I will introduce what we're doing today. I am going to be tier ranking all the primary consoles from the Magnavox Odyssey all the way up through the Nintendo Switch. I'm not going to do the current ones, um, but I'm going to be just ranking them all, tier ranking. It's going to be really tough. I tried to do like a practice kind of where would I put this, and I was hemming and hawing over a lot of them. So chat may influence some of these. Now let's take a look at the chat here and say hello to some people. Zen Bloke from Scotland. How do you do, sir? He asks if this is going to be anything like our podcast. Maybe a little bit, but not really. I'll kind of get into that further. I'm not rating companies. I'm ranking individual consoles. Hello, Pierre. Hello, Andy Author. Intellivision Gamers in the chat. Like I said, nobody wants to hear me sing, but I'm singing it in my heart. I am a proud Canadian. Jeremiah Thomas says these rankings better match up exactly with mine, or there will be hell to pay. Andy Author says if you could hear me sing, everyone in the chat would clear out. I know that Zen Bloke is very much for an independent Scotland. So he's hoping that one day they have their day. Andy is probably a better singer than Jeremiah Thomas. We're gonna have to find them. I gotta take submissions and we'll rank you two. I'll tier rank the singing ability of chat. Casey, violently forced Mr. Postile to buy another homebrew this morning because of his post. Hello, Jeff. How's it going from Alabama? I kind of want to hear you sing it. No, you don't. But, oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. I grew up, it was in all thy sons command. They changed that a few years ago, so it's now in all of us command. Hey, Casey's Gold and Alien Abduction arrived for Jeremiah Thomas today. That's awesome. I don't have either. I've played both, but I don't have either. I do want to get them. And and Zen Bloke would rather do a walk-off. Fair enough. I think at least in today's climate, there is some strength in unity, but I do not pretend to know all the intricacies of very, very old countries and their animosities and the political stuff between them. So, all right, shall we get started? Because this, with all my hemming and hawing, this may take a while. All right, so you can see all the main consoles here. I don't have the Channel F. I don't have the Hyperscan. I don't have the Action Max. Forgive me. These are roughly in order of when they came out. Please don't jump in the chat and be all upset at me if one came out 3 months earlier than the other. It doesn't really matter. We're gonna start from the Magnavox Odyssey. Oh, and actually, I threw the VCS in here as well. So there is one current console in there, but I think I threw the VCS in there because we cover a lot of Atari stuff, and we gotta have as much Atari in here as we can. Also, I've got rankings here from S to D. I don't think we're gonna require anything lower than a D for any of these consoles. I think they all have their virtues, but well. Maybe one of them. I'm looking at one of them as like it'll end up. I know it'll end up in D. All right. So, no Action Max. That was maybe my first system. Wow. Okay, then. I do have an Action Max. I actually haven't played it yet. And no, this isn't Casey's show. There's no horse races. And she wants nothing lower than the D. So let's start with the Magnavox Odyssey. So the Magnavox Odyssey started the game. It is the commercial version of Ralph Baer's Brown Box. It is the first home video game system. It deserves a lot of respect for that. And that's pretty much all it's got going for it. I have one. It's just around the corner in the other room there. I've played it once. It was a neat little oddity. But it's not exactly like, by virtue of the fact, like you'll play it for 5 minutes and it's got several different Pong versions. It's got hockey, it's got football, it's got regular kind of Pong. By virtue of the fact that it started the game, I think it belongs in one of these two, and I'm going to drop in an A. Not fun to play. If you get a chance to play one, you absolutely should. As just kind of a piece of history. It is an experience. It has a light gun that looks like a regular hunter's rifle. It's a fun oddity, but as for quality of the system, it's on this list because it started the game, and I'm going to put it at A. And yeah, Power Lords is for the Odyssey 2, not the Magnavox Odyssey. And Jeff's first console was a Channel F. I have one, but it's not on this list. My apologies. I would honestly put it at a C if it was on this list. And poor Virtual Boy. So there's no handhelds on this list, and I know that the Virtual Boy is like this kind of sort of hybrid. I consider it to be more of a handheld, so it's not here. And Andy Author would have put the Magnavox Odyssey at B. So that's fair too. Like, anything on this list is going to be insanely personal. And it'll also be based on your nostalgia. The Atari 2600. That's one of the easiest S tiers on this list. If the Magnavox Odyssey started the game, Well, and then there were all the Pong consoles and stuff like that, but the Atari 2600 cemented it. It popularized it. Sold, like, blew away its competition. So much so that it probably stayed for too long. There is a very large library of games for it, a lot of which are good or better. There's definitely some crap, but there's definitely some shovelware on the Atari 2600. But there is just so much. And it's got a really vibrant homebrew community, and I'm all about the homebrew community here. Yes, I am glad that you guys exist. Concur that it's an S, and Jeremiah says if I had put it at anything other than an S, I never would have lived it down, and that's fair. Yes, please hit the like button, guys. I would appreciate that. Yeah, it's like I said when I was doing my podcast with Zen Bloke, ranking the different companies. We owe a lot of even the modern day industry due to both the successes and failures of the Atari 2600 and Atari in general. So that's an S. For our next one, it's the Intellivision, and I'm going to try to take my bias out of it. I love the Intellivision. Intellivision was not my introduction to the homebrew community, but the first homebrew community that I really dove deep into. Yes, airlock. So here's the thing: I like airlock for the 2 minutes it takes to play it. It's just then that's it. Like it's not bad. It could have been so good. The idea of being trapped on a submarine and trying to get out is a great idea for a game. Thank you. A for Intellivision. Don't take that out. A for Intellivision. I apologize, guys. I'm putting Intellivision at B. Intellivision is a fantastic system. Don't get me wrong. But when I talk to even people my age and older who should know the second generation of video game systems and the systems that were out at that point in time, they all know the Atari 2600. A good portion of them know the ColecoVision. Maybe 25% know the Intellivision. Its impact on the broader gaming community was not what us in the Intellivision community wish it was. I love the Intellivision. The Intellivision has tons to offer. You could make the argument that if Nintendo is the father of the D-pad, this disc is the grandfather. I absolutely recommend to anyone wanting to get into retro games to get themselves an Intellivision. It's got a very vibrant homebrew community. They're doing some magnificent stuff with it right now. But I think in terms of this list, the fairest place to put it is B. My personal feelings of it, it's right up here. I love the Intellivision. But me trying to take my bias out of it, I think it belongs at B. Jeff just got Intellivision 2 weeks ago. Enjoy it, man. Of the original 125, I'd say there's probably about 50 games that are really good, or at least good. The rest of them, maybe not so much, at least unless you've got nostalgia for them. But get yourself into some homebrew. There are places that do ROMs, Intellivision Collector, Intellivision.us. You can get some really good stuff for the Intellivision. So, Off-Grid Arcade. Casey, contain yourself now. Off-Grid Arcade. Intellivision is a way better system than the 2600. Atari lovers are nuts. That is correct. The Master System is a better system than the NES. The difference is the game library. The NES game library blows the Master System out of the water. The same as, in my personal opinion, the game library of the Atari 2600 blows the Intellivision out of the water. B's a good rank. B's a good rank. All right. I'm probably going to upset some people with this one. The Odyssey 2. If I take my bias out of it, it's kind of a D. So I don't understand why the Odyssey rank is higher than the television. Because it started the game. That's what I mentioned when I put it here, is that its impact on the fact that like it was the first by default gives it a high ranking. Right here. Intellivision fans are so cute. So the Odyssey 2, listen, it did the best it could with what it had. It was incredibly underpowered. The games on it are very simple. That is not to say there is not fun to have on it. But compared to everything else that was out at the time that the Odyssey 2 was out, I cannot imagine a kid going into the store and picking that over an Intellivision or a ColecoVision or a Vectrex or a 5200 or a 2600. I've got a soft spot for the Odyssey 2, but again, I'm trying to take my bias out of it. So I have played the Great Wall Street Fortune Hunt. I will say Quest for the Rings I like better than Wall Street. But okay, so man, I should do a whole history lesson. I don't have the Channel F here. It was not the first. So the Magnavox Odyssey came out in 1972. The Channel F was the first video game console to use interchangeable game cartridges that had the game on the cartridge. So that's probably what you're mixing up there. It was Magnavox Odyssey was the first home console. Came out before all those Pong systems. You're absolutely right. These tier ranking videos are the best ones to piss people off. Quest for the Rings, Off Grid, and then I have also played Conquest of the World. I am only missing one Odyssey 2 game, and that's Power Lords. I've played Power Lords. I know it's not a good game, but that's the only one I'm missing. I played all the other North American releases. I have some of the European ones. And sometimes Zenbloke forgets just how many machines there have been. There are a lot missing from here. These are just what I would consider like the main ones. So yeah, for me, Odyssey 2, D. I could see an argument for C, but I think it's our first D. ColecoVision. ColecoVision was an awesome system that I don't think really hit its potential when it came out. Graphically, great system. The controller sucks. If you've got a stiff joystick, don't put it at the top where it's always going to feel like it's pulling out of your hand. I have seen Odyssey 2 Popeye. It blows even compared to the 2600 version. Ask Mr. Postile. I do have a Bentley. It's not on this list, but it's a classy way to play Pong. The problem with ColecoVision is it had the power to potentially become something more than what everything was in the era. And it was still just all arcade ports. It had its that stiff joystick, the controller, just I hate the controller. It's a great system though. It like if I had like a B plus, I'd probably put it at a B plus. I think it deserves an A. It is obviously way more powerful and graphically capable than the 2600. It is more powerful and capable than the Intellivision. In certain ways, all these different systems have different pros and cons to them. Um, I hate that controller and the game library. I, okay, so pro for it. I love the little steering wheel accessory, and I was watching Super Mega Graphics 64 a little while back, and he was testing a whole pile of different games with that accessory, and some worked and some didn't. I have grown to appreciate the ColecoVision more since I got a aftermarket joystick for it from BD Retro Mods. And so I think by virtue of that, um, I move it up. I do like, I mean, I could have just as easily put it there, but I guess just to upset Casey, I'll put it there. Again, trying to take my personal bias out of it. That is very true. Second player can do that. Yes, it also has the Atari 2600 expansion module. There is more modern, the Super Game module, which gives it more RAM. Intellivision Gamer does not like Coleco over Intellivision. So you are betrayed by just call me Benedict Gala. Like I said, it could be there. I certainly, when it comes to, like, you can tell by my channel, I cover a lot more Intellivision than I cover ColecoVision. My personal allegiances are more here. I'm trying to be as kind of unbiased as I can. What I will also do is when I'm done, I will find the link for this tier list. I did save it, and I will post the link. If you are a content creator and you want to do a video with this tier list, like all these pictures and all that, please do and tag me in it. If you're not a content creator and you just want to do it for fun, please absolutely hop in and do it, and we could compare lists. But yeah, I mean, Intellivision guys, can we please, like, you can love whatever you want to love, but can we please just admit that the ColecoVision is a more capable system than the Intellivision, at least back when it came out? Just, you can love something and still be real about it. I get a reputation of like crapping on Atari all the time. It's not true. I love Atari. I'm just realistic about Atari. All right. Yeah, so Intellivision Gamer is going to start the ColecoVision Gamer. The 5200. 5200 graphically is great. It's got a decent library of games. It's mostly upgraded 2600 games. A lot of arcade ports. Its biggest flaw is its controller. And I've had a lot of people tell me, oh, you know, and I've got one. I've got the Atari 5200 controller repair kit. I have the Atari 5200 rescue thing where you could plug a 2600 controller in and a 5200 controller in the other port, and you can use the 2600 as a joystick. The fact that so many of these shipped out with controllers that already weren't working, the fact that the library is limited, it's mostly ports of games that already came out. The system itself, the architecture inside of it is great, and I am starting to experience that more. I do have a 5200, but I've started emulating some, and I can't believe you pissed me off on our anniversary. I'm sorry, Casey. Michelle will make it up to you one day. Not true, Jeremiah. Not true. My uncle had a 5200 and he got his home and the joystick already was not working. I'm going to give it a C. It's a very capable system, but it is not without serious flaws. So that gets a C from me. Let's move on to the Vectrex. I love the Vectrex. The Vectrex is incredibly unique. It is, I forget the gentleman's name, but it is the answer. Oh, have I pissed off Chris Walker? Yeah, I'm in trouble with Jeremiah. See, I'm just in trouble with everyone today, but it makes for good viewing at least. It gets a C, man. Like, if it's not approachable to go and play, it's not getting an A or a B. It's certainly not an S. The system itself, incredibly capable. I'm learning to love it a lot more. But back in the day, 5200, frustration, man. Frustration. I have hurt you all. And you know what? I'm not sorry. Vectrex, on the other hand, it's got a great it's a great unique solution to a guy who had a whole pile of small CRT monitors. You know what? I'll give you that. ColecoVision, like, I hate the original controllers. You know what? Jeremiah's convinced me. There we go. Make Casey a little happier. But I'm keeping 5200 at C. All right. And hey, I'm right for me. Casey would be this. Zen Bloke, all these PlayStations would be S tier. I know your guys' preferences. All right. So I made some people happy by dropping it. I even said it's like a B+. I was just trying to be controversial. You guys all yelled at me. Vectrex is awesome. Vectrex has a very small library. It's got a good quality joystick. I know over time they don't all hold up. Mine's still pretty good. But it's a good self-centering analog joystick. So I am putting Vectrex. You know what? Its original game library, there was like 30 games, which kind of blows. But everything else about it's pretty awesome. Again, it's probably like a B+. Yeah, I'll put it in the B category. Yeah, I'm all right now. Everybody's celebrating. ColecoVision controllers are just fine for a game no longer than 4.75 minutes. Yeah, something like that. You know what? Normally I can be bought, but out of principle on this one, no. Okay, so Cyber Freaks 5200 controller is awesome. Granted, it's a luxury, but I love the Super System. I didn't have one as a kid, but I played it a ton at my best friend's house. That's fair. And like I said, everybody's going to have their personal feelings about the about each of these. And me putting this here, like, this is my favorite group of systems right here. I'm just being realistic about them. Like, trying to be chill. Yeah, see now Andy's mad at me. That's all right. Um okay. Yeah, again, I was like doing this, but I'm like, okay, everybody's gonna be pissed off because I put it at A. And then I think back, like, do I like it better than my Intellivision? Do I like it better than my ColecoVision? No, about the same. So we be chill. Don't worry. There's plenty more systems here for me to disappoint you with. But yeah, I honestly I should have had like a B plus because that should be like this. This is a higher. This is like this is here. Imagine it here. And I know actually it's really funny. So um, Mr. Postile, send me your Phoenix. Okay, so uh, everybody knows that there's a thumbs up button. There's also a thumbs down button, right? And I usually don't pay attention to it, but every once in a while I'll see, there's a thumbs down on something and it's okay. They didn't like the game, they didn't like my opinion, whatever. I posted my little video saying that I'm going to Portland and it has one dislike. And I laughed so hard because I was just picturing myself, picturing somebody watching it and me coming on their screen and being like, "Hey, I'm going to Portland to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo," and someone being like, "Oh, hell no," and clicking thumbs down. So this tier ranking, it may get a bunch of thumbs down, and I'm here for it, guys. It's all right. Socrates says B is fair for the Vectrex. It's so unique. It's a great system. But I'm also trying to think the scope of everything, right? And Jolt is imagining it hovering between the A and the B. Thank you, Jolt. We'll imagine this hovering here. And Casey's going to imagine this up here. And Andy Author's going to imagine this here. And I think Jeremiah Thomas is going to imagine this here or here, which is fair. The NES. So it's one of two systems that is just ubiquitous with gaming. Like, people would say, "Do you want to go play Nintendo?" They didn't say, "Do you want to go play the Nintendo Entertainment System?" And if you were going to play your Master System, your mom would say, "Are you going to play Nintendo now?" It's an S tier console. Um, like I was saying earlier, the Master System is more powerful than the NES. The NES game library absolutely annihilates the Master System. So that's I don't think that one requires too much explanation. Boom. Socrates is giving Jeremiah Thomas a fist bump. And Intellivision Gamer loves his Master System also. I love the Master System, but the game library does not compare, at least the North American game library. There's some actually great European games. Johnny Graphics, welcome, sir. Yes, I have thus far been pissing off, I'd say, at least 75% of the chat, and you can be here for it. The Master System. It's this is where it gets really dang difficult. Because what's really throwing me is I put the Odyssey here out of respect for starting the game, right? All these systems below it, including the Odyssey 2, are better than it. Like, we all know that in chat, right? So it's throwing me. The Master System, I would probably put in this B tier. Well, this is difficult, man. And it's only gonna get harder. I know I'm gonna piss some people off when I get to, like, this stretch here. I know it. It's a better system than the NES, but the library is weaker. Master System is overrated, I think. I mean, it isn't a huge step over the NES. I really do like my Master System. The light gun isn't the greatest. The controllers aren't the greatest. Yeah, I think I keep it in the B. I think I'm with you. Um That's what she said. Um they did have the really good 3D glasses, but so did the Vectrex. And the Vectrex, it was like a full helmet. Um you know what? For you, Pierre, it probably won't because you, like me, are a retro guy. You won't necessarily care where I put the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, for instance. 7800. 7800 is it's such a good system with no good original controller options. I don't like the Pro controller. The Euro controller is better, but also isn't great. Um, the game library, there's some good games in that library. Um, definitely some good ports. Atari started getting away from their arcade ports just a little too late, in my opinion. It's a good system. Audio suffers, but PokeChip alleviates that in some games. And the audio, I was talking with in one of our past podcasts with Vinny, Funkmaster V. He mentioned that yes, it has the same audio capabilities, but it's able to use those capabilities better than the 2600. So that's why some games, even without additional chips, they sound better than they would have on a 2600. I do really like the 7800. I think with its capabilities, do you guys want to imagine it hovering for me? Like I do. I feel okay. I'm going to do something controversial. I'm going to drop here, and believe it or not, I'm going to put the XE here. Here's why. They both came out. It does feel funny, but again, it started the game, right? Like if we're talking like, hey, I'm going to pull a console out and play it, be down here. But out of respect, I just have to ignore it's there. This is difficult. And if I did this tomorrow, it would be a different list. These two would still be here. The Atari 8-bit computer line had some great games, some great ports of great games, and to consoleize that was a great idea. Homebrews now, especially, they can make use of the keyboard. I played On Escape. I've only reviewed one Atari 8-bit computer game, and that's On Escape. It's a homebrew. It's a point and click adventure. It uses a keyboard. It's fantastic. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give Atari another A here, but I'm going to keep this here mostly because of the controllers. Yeah, I'd say the 7800 in the Master System. They they can be there. TurboGrafx 16. I love my TurboGrafx. There are some great games. It didn't have the biggest library, but especially if you get into the Japanese games, there's a lot more of them. I'm going to put TurboGrafx at an A. It's got a good controller. I don't like the fact that you have to like daisy chain them, but I don't play TurboGrafx multiplayer. Cool format. I know Master System also had the cards, but the TurboGrafx 16 with its hue cards, just a unique format. It's most of the kids that I knew had either an NES or a Master System, and then if you were like a really cool kid, you had a TurboGrafx 16. And I only knew like one or two of those. So I think I like TurboGrafx 16 at A. Johnny Graphics seems to approve. The Sega Genesis. Sega's most popular system, certainly. I did like there's a lot to love about it. The controllers, maybe not the best, but the second model controller definitely was an improvement to it, the 6-button controller. Some good franchises on there. A great system for shoot 'em ups. A great system. There's some really good RPGs on there. I would argue that some fighting games were better on there. I think Street Fighter was better on the Super Nintendo. Mortal Kombat was obviously like way better on the Genesis because he had the blood. Andy Author says that Sega Genesis is an S-tier system. I could definitely see the argument for that. I could definitely see it there. And I would say that this is another one that probably hovers as an A plus. I'm kind of happy where I've put it though. It's yeah. I'm going to put the Super Nintendo also at an A. There's a lot of people that are going to want it there. I think it does a similar thing to the Genesis. I think it hovers in between. Obviously, you've got the better D-pad here. First one with the bumper buttons, kind of standardized the 4-button layout on the face of it. Some great franchises, great library. So again, if you like, platformers, if you like sports games, there's lots of sports games on both the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. And the and RPGs. The 16-bit era was was fantastic. Now, there is a very, very, very good argument happening here. As an Atari fanboy, if you're going to put the XEGS at A, then the Genesis and SNES deserve to be S. And Jeremiah is saying, give Genesis the bump to S for breaking Nintendo's anti-competitive practices. It was the first competition to really take a bite out of the leader. And Mr. Postile agreed. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that because I can't disagree with you. I am going to leave that as a hover in between. So the Super Nintendo is going to stay at the A, but we know it's an A plus, and the Genesis I'll move up to S tier. I think you guys are right. The XEGS, like Jeremiah Thomas points out, it's got a massive library of games. It's capable. So you had that. It had a very small amount of games that were released just for it, but you could play all your Atari 8-bit games on it, computer games on it, and it was awesome. Okay. So, hey, we're working with the chat here. The Atari Jaguar. I like the Jaguar, but I also am and have always been a fan of the quirky stuff. And the Jaguar is quirky. It didn't get a lot of games. Most of the games that were made for it didn't take full advantage of what was there. Some of them were just downright unfinished. I have a Jaguar CD, and good God, like the library gets worse when you start getting some of those CD games. But it's such a cool system. It is. It makes you feel. Jeremiah Thomas. No. Go home, Jeremiah. You're drunk. It's not an S tier. But you know what? There is so with the original library, like it's better than people say it is. And there is a good homebrew community for it, especially if you have a Sega CD. Or not a Sega CD, a Jaguar CD. Um I want to put it in B. If it had had a bigger library, if it had had more support, it could have been higher than that. It is definitely not S tier. I do really like the Jaguar, but I think to be fair to be fair to it, I think it's a B tier. Oh, there we go. Andy agrees. Jeremiah does not. You two can fight in the chat. CDI. Oh, that's an easy one. D. So far of all these consoles, this is the only one I don't own. And actually, I think for all of the remaining consoles. Yeah, this is the only console on this entire list that I don't own. But I have played a CDI. I actually own like a big box full of CDI video discs. I kind of so if we're talking original library, I'd probably agree with you. I think it probably deserves to be here with the 5200, but the homebrew support for this is really, really good. Mr. Postal, we've passed the Intellivision. Chill. Chill. It's not an S. It's not an S. Jaguar CD by itself doesn't work. It needs to be plugged into a Jaguar, not an S. CDI is a D. Anybody disagree with me on that? CDI sucks. There's maybe 2 good games for it, and I can't think of what they are. Cool. Neo Geo CD. I skipped the AES because that is really just a consoleized MVS. I really like the controllers on the Neo Geo CD. I think that the game library, although it isn't huge, is actually pretty solid. I think that I don't appreciate every 2 minutes after beating a level, waiting another 2 minutes for it to load the next level. There is a second model of Neo Geo CD that has a faster drive. I don't have that one, and so I can only really talk to that. The controllers are great. There is some homebrew. It's not a big homebrew community. Here we go. I actually got this one from Kote Gamers recently. So that's a Neo Geo CD homebrew. But yeah, it's a tough one to rank. It was also super expensive when it came out. One of those things that the rich kids had. I think it goes in C. Definitely some fun to be had there if you're willing to wait for the CDs to load. Neo Geo CD is an RE. I don't know what an RE is on this list. The 3DO. If the 3DO had come out a year or even 2 years earlier, I think it would have done really well. But unfortunately, it came out just before the PlayStation came out. Oh, okay. The RE is for ridiculously expensive. Yes. Okay. That makes more sense. I like my 3DO. It's got some really good games. Uh, but the fact that they had to outsource the making of their hardware means that there's like several different versions. I have 2 of them. Um, I think the 3DO has to go here with the Neo Geo CD in C tier. It's if it had come out a year or 2 earlier, I think it could have made a big splash, but it didn't. And it was then followed up by the PlayStation 1, which is an S tier system. It's absolutely an S tier system. Nobody here in this chat is going to be able to convince me otherwise. Um, Maybe not with this combo. You know, you'd want a dual shock controller with it. That's when it really came into its own. It's difficult to rank this era for me because this era doesn't hold up very well. The early kind of 3D polygon stuff. Um, yeah, yeah. Price was a big thing for the 3DO as well. Thankfully, I didn't pay anywhere near $700 for it, and I'm glad somebody agrees with my ask for PlayStation. PlayStation, it was another one of those kind of change the games thing. Change the game. Popularized CD was just blew Nintendo out of the water, um, and blew Sega out of the water. Um, so and a lot of really good games on it. It's difficult now. Like my kids hate this era of gaming. They don't like the PlayStation. They don't like the Nintendo 64, and they don't like the Sega Saturn. Um, because it really doesn't age well. But it was the building blocks of what was to come. The Sega Saturn. The Sega Saturn has some good games on it. It is a 2D powerhouse. And this might upset some people, but I'm dropping the Sega Saturn at a C as well. I have not an insignificant Saturn collection that sits and collects dust. Nobody in my family wants to play the Saturn. You know, Panzer Dragoon is great. There are some good games on there. I'm not denying that there's good games on the Saturn. But if you have the choice between playing the Saturn or the PlayStation, or even the Saturn and the Nintendo 64, it is no competition. Like the Nintendo 64 is objectively a better system, even with this game library. And I can see, I'm not going to bring them all up, but I can see I'm upsetting some people with this one. The Saturn, for me, is a C. I invite people over and nobody wants to play the Saturn. People sometimes want to play the Nintendo 64 or the original PlayStation. Nobody wants to play the Saturn. It's not to say there isn't good games on it. I disagree with Andy. I do not think it deserves an A. It's not up here with TurboGrafx and with the Super Nintendo. I think it's overrated. I could see, again, this is maybe one of these C pluses. I could see somebody putting it at B. I can't picture anybody putting it. If you're putting it over B, I think it's overrated. For me, you can picture it hovering if you want as a C plus, but I'm going to put it in C tier. Maybe I'm inviting the wrong people over. Well, if you invite enough people over of different ages and different groups, you're going to get a baseline. Nintendo 64. So I love the 4 controller ports. I've got nostalgia for the Nintendo 64. Um, it's got some great 4-player games. I would say that, the Mario Kart on it is fantastic. It it really, in conjunction with the PlayStation, they really kind of formed what 3D games would become. But it's nowhere near up here. Uh, I'd probably put it at a B. And again, it's for mostly those first party games. Um, you've got your Mario Party, you've got your GoldenEye, you've got your uh, Mario 64, you've got Diddy Kong Racing, you've got Mario Kart, you've got one of the best Star Fox games, you've got Smash Brothers, the start of that series. Just right there, just right there with that list and nothing else, I would pick the N64 over the Saturn. And there are other games too. But that is, hey, I will make this tier list available for anyone else. If you make a video with it, just tag me in it so I can watch and I can yell at you for putting this here or this here. Dreamcast. Oh, good God. That's an A. If this system, like the whole mess with the 32X and the Saturn, and it's not the Saturn's fault. Yes, I am. Okay, so Dreamcast. After the mess of the whole 32-bit era for Sega, they came out with a freaking awesome system. Now the controller, they should have known better by this point that it should have had 2 analog sticks. Whatever. There's some awesome games. Awesome games on the Dreamcast. I wish it had stuck around longer. It ended up kind of becoming the Xbox when it left the scene. Xbox entered, and a lot of those Sega franchises went over to Xbox. I love the Dreamcast. I just wish it had a better controller, but the controller itself, it isn't bad for the games that you've got. The games that are on the system control pretty well. I probably own the least amount of consoles for a guy my age, but I do find it interesting what your opinions are. And these are all my opinions, so Jeremiah can get his butt hurt as he wants, but they're my opinions, they're not his. PlayStation 2. So, full disclosure, ever since the Xbox came out, I've been more of an Xbox guy. I just prefer it. It's not that I think it's necessarily better. I just prefer the controller mainly, but also the original Xbox was like, wow, that's an awesome system. That said, the PlayStation 2, there's a reason it's like the best-selling console of all time. I think that's 2 consecutive Sony S tiers. I was just about to say, yeah, the game library itself, just absolutely, it's enormous. The Xbox is more powerful. The GameCube is more powerful. but none of them can touch that library. So yeah, I think it's a well-deserved S tier for PlayStation 2. Hey, I am old enough that I do not care how embarrassing I look. I sometimes wear socks with sandals, man. Yeah. Yeah. I have to agree. The PlayStation 2 is an S tier. Uh, the GameCube, on the other hand, now this is going to let's make some more people mad. When the GameCube came out, I was getting married and not playing a lot of video games, so I kind of missed the GameCube at the time. I saw it in the stores, but even in the stores, they had the little kiosks set up, and I have never. I know there is such a huge group of people who love them, but I do not like the GameCube controllers. They feel cheap to me. Especially you're pulling like the trigger buttons and they're like it just feels hollow and I've never liked it. That said, the game library, like it's a better Nintendo 64. Of course, Nintendo had to be Nintendo and have their own proprietary format again. Um, this picture that I got here also has the Game Boy adapter. I love the Game Boy adapter for mine, but I did buy. I think it's RAFnet in Montreal. I'm not even sure if they're still around because this would have been like 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. I bought an adapter to plug my Super Nintendo controller in and play Game Boy games with my Super Nintendo controller. Um, but I have never like, oh, thank goodness that somebody agrees with me. um, okay, some other people. No, no, I'm not starting over. We've been going an hour. Um, yeah, they kind like I know they have such a big following, especially for Smash Brothers people, but I just I don't like the controllers. And yes, half the chat is butthurt. So, Mr. Baseman, if you're going to go back and watch from the start, make sure to lube up. Um, it is absolutely cute. I'm not going to deny that. It's a neat little form factor. Doesn't take up much space on your shelf, and the game library is pretty damn good. Mr. Baseman already lubed up. Very good. Um, I like I like the game library. It's got some great Star Wars games, like the Rogue Squadron games. Uh, it has what I know a lot of big Smash Brothers fans consider to be one of the best Smash Brothers. It has um, a great Mario Kart where you can actually have two guys on each cart and they flip back and forth. Uh, well, cat's running around up there. Um, yeah, so like good library, solid library. Controller stinks. I'm gonna put it at B tier. Um, I like the GameCube now that I've gotten into it, but I don't like it as much as these guys here. The original Xbox. The original Xbox when it came out was a boss. I love the fact that it's got actual analog triggers. The original Duke controller wasn't the best, but when they came out with the S controller, it really hit its own. You've got Halo, you've got like racing games on this thing were the best because of those analog controllers. Um, there's a lot to love about the original Xbox. Its library doesn't compare to the PlayStation 2. But for an entry from Microsoft, I think that the original Xbox was The original Xbox was a absolute smash when it came on to the market. Um, and I remember that's what kind of got me back into gaming. It was like, oh wow, I really want that. So I'm gonna put that's a solid A. If I was going personal, I'd probably throw it up here, but it doesn't match the PlayStation 2 library. But what does kind of match the PlayStation 2 library is the Xbox 360. Now, I'm putting this at S tier despite the red ring of death. I am aware that the red ring uh, of death was an issue for many people. It was not an issue for me, thankfully, with my Xbox 360. I knew just as many, if not more, people with a PlayStation 3 that got the yellow light of death than Xbox people who got the red ring of death. And the red ring of death is a lot easier to fix, at least temporarily, than the yellow light of death. The Xbox 360 has an incredible library. It's again got the analog triggers on the controllers, and they're good triggers, great for racing games. It has one of the best name brand, like Xbox brand racing controllers. I have 4 of them for when my kids and I all want to play racing games. Lots of different types of games too. You've got obviously all your 3D kind of stuff, but you've got tons of great RPGs, ports of everything. This is when the library started to really be like, okay, you can get a PlayStation 3 or you can get an Xbox 360, and it's almost identical libraries aside from that top little bit for each of them. Yes, Xbox Live Arcade was cool. This is also when consoles started getting more into the online shops, which means that a lot of these games are lost to time. Mr. Baseman's PlayStation 3 hard drive took a dump. That sucks. PS4 has we're gonna get to that. PlayStation 4 in my house is simply a VR box. That's all it gets used for. And Socrates says the 360 is what made him a full-time console gamer. And I think you're not alone on that. So I think the 360 deserves S tier. The Wii. I really like the Wii. It's got a good library of games, but it also has so much shovelware. And by shovelware, I mean those party games, right? And listen, I understand why it does. It was marketed very much to kids, and you got a couple kids over, they can stand in your living room and wave the remote and play a whole bunch of party games. That is a great way to occupy your kids. Wii Sports was absolutely a phenomenon. Wii Tennis was my thing. I loved Wii Tennis. Arguably, at least for my personal opinion, 2 of the best Mario games ever in Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2. If you can look past, well, and not to mention that everything after this had to have some kind of motion controls or interactive or connect or something like that. If we can look past what third parties did with all the different shovelware, I think the Wii honestly belongs in S tier. As a cultural phenomenon, as something that set a lot of trends, a lot of people looked at it and was like, oh, it's a gimmick. And a lot of people went off of it after they tired of Wii Sports. I get that. But I remember sitting back and just enjoying like you could sit on the couch and you can use the Wiimote and the nunchuck um as a regular controller. Like I think it belongs in S tier, at the very least A tier. Mr. Baseman, you're absolutely right. Uh, the French version was called the Wee Wee. It's very rare. And it put people in the hospital. Yeah, if you didn't have the strap on and you let go of it, you would throw it across the room. Um, Also, absolutely agree. It made gamers out of your entire family, including people who had no interest in games. I remember so I bought our Wii for my wife at the time, and her parents came over who had never played video games since like the NES, and they wanted to play. And I remember my father-in-law think it was so funny that whenever he did this, the little cow would jump and the bell would ring. So, yeah, Socrates agrees. Um, It costs you a very expensive TV. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jeff. Uh, I'm gonna respectfully or even disrespectfully disagree. I think real gamers can enjoy the Wii. Play Mario Galaxy, play Mario Galaxy 2. There are some great play Twilight Princess. There are some true gamer games on there. Yes, you got to strap them on, but it was approachable. Like everybody could play it, and everybody had something that they could play on it. And some of the party games, yeah, and it brought light games back too, light gun games. I remember at my brother's bachelor party, I brought the Wii and I bought the House of the Dead 2 combo, House of the Dead and House of the Dead 2. And I got the little plastic things that you could put the Wiimote in so that yeah, and it was like you were at their arcade playing House of the Dead. It was awesome. So I think it belongs up there. The PlayStation 3. This is where I started to drop off from the PlayStation. They had a really rough start. They came out too expensive. Like they were cocky because, two S tiers in a row, you're sitting here like I'm ruling the roost. And I think although they made up with a lot kind of later in the generation, and there's certainly some absolutely fantastic games on the PlayStation 3, for me, it's an A tier. Um, Great library. I didn't experience great library, but again, mostly multi-port. Um, and I didn't experience a lot of first party because they botched their launch so bad. Almost like what's going to happen in the next generation here with Xbox. Um, well, that's okay. Yeah, so the PlayStation 3 is very affordable Blu-ray player. Same with the PlayStation 2 as a DVD player. I get that, but as a game console, I think despite the fact that it ended up outselling the Xbox 360, I I'm putting it at A. And well, yeah, we can agree to disagree. The Wii U, so much squandered potential on the Wii U. I really like the Wii U. I still like the Wii U. My kids and I have a Minecraft world that we've been playing for like 8 years. It has a full subway system between multiple cities. Um, it's got roads, it's got castles, it's got everything. Um, some great games on it too. Um, uh, PS3 is the worst of the PlayStations, in my opinion. I would have to agree with you on that. And as a game console, the A is very fair. And also, I think it's their lowest selling one. But like Nintendo Land was great. I love Nintendo Land. It has the Wii U has the best Mario Party on it because one of you can be Bowser and then everybody else is trying to get away from Bowser. My kids still ask to play that one. Um, I really, really enjoy playing with the Wii U, but such squandered potential. Small game library, not a lot of support. Um, despite the fact that I do think, and like Cyrus Martin, Super Mega Graphics 64, he's been doing some recent stuff where like the Wii U, he's using it as like an emulation platform for a lot of different consoles. Like nowadays, sure, there's lots you can do with it. Same with the Wii, actually. I've got a jailbroken Wii that plays like every NES, Game Boy, Genesis, SNES. Like it's awesome for that. It really is. But that's not kind of what I'm ranking based on. And so I've got to take the Wii U and I got to drop it in C. I think that it could have been great. It was very badly marketed and its potential was never reached. Nintendo definitely Nintendo'd itself with the Wii U. And yes, I've got a jailbroken Xbox as well. The thing I really like though about using my Wii as an emulation platform is the classic controller that you can plug into your remote. So it's like using, it's not an original Super Nintendo controller by any stretch, but it's closer. Um, yeah, the original Xbox was an emulation powerhouse. All right, so moving on, Xbox One. So Xbox One and PS4. Uh, Xbox kind of screwed itself out of the gate by making the Kinect like mandatory. That was part of it. And then there was this big to do about this is how you transfer your digital games. This is how you do this and that. And PlayStation came out and did something that Sony does really well, is mocking its competition and just said, "This is how you trade games," and handed a game over. Um, that said, and a lot of people too, they say, "Oh, the PlayStation 4 looks so good and the Xbox looks so dumb." They look about the same to me. Like the Xbox is a box with a glossy bit and a matte bit, and the PlayStation is a slanted box with a glossy bit and a matte bit. So the PS4 has a smaller footprint, which is nice, and an internal power supply, which is nice. But I, again, because of my preference um, of the controller, I got the Xbox One and I loved it. Um, yeah, I would agree. It's got one of the worst pre-launches of any system of all time, uh, but I like the system a lot. It is a really good system. Uh, I'm not sure. Again, like so. A spoiler alert. I'm going to put PS4 at A for VR. Um, I think their controller didn't quite do what it needed to do. Yes, it had the little analog flippers on the back. I don't like the little touchpad on it, which I mean, it's fine. You can have it there. Um, I really wish PlayStation would come out with some kind of version of controller that had offset sticks. Um, Looking here, Socrates says the Xbox One X is his daily console. Um, I still play Halo Reach Firefight almost daily, and I've been playing it daily since the release of Halo Reach. This week, I'm reviewing Halo 2600, so you'll want to watch that one if you like Halo. Xbox One has one of the two stupidest names. Yes, because I always referred to this guy as the Xbox One, and then this stupid thing came out, and it's called the Xbox One. I'm like, oh, come on. Drop it a letter grade for that. I'm okay with PS4 at an A. I was getting ready to ask Mr. Baseman if he could pass me some lube. Yeah, like VR is incredible. And currently they're still the only ones in the console space that are doing it. I still haven't gotten the VR 2 for the PS5. It's just stupid expensive. Actually, my boys bought the PS VR originally secondhand, and there's a lot to love there. The Xbox, so I love it, but you know what? I am going to take inspiration from Jeremiah Thomas, and for the dumbass name, I'm going to drop it one lower. And because it doesn't have VR, it's got the Kinect instead. Now, I don't mind the Kinect. My kids, when they were younger, loved the Kinect because they could do the dancing games. There was like the Raven Rabbids Kinect games. They love those. But for VR, I think that VR is a difference maker for sure. Kinect wasn't bad for the time. I like Kinect just fine. Yeah, I don't have a problem with Kinect. A lot of people crap on it. Although I do find it funny that like when people first set up their Xboxes and then they were watching TV and there was that commercial with Jesse from Breaking Bad where he would tell Kinect to turn on the TV or something and then turn off the TV and people's TVs would turn off because Kinect was listening. I mean, yeah, I never had a problem with Kinect. If Microsoft wants to spy on me in my living room, that's fine. I should make them sign a waiver for what they might see, but I got nothing to hide. Nintendo Switch. Now, this is not the Nintendo Switch 2. This is the Nintendo Switch. I understand that as of right now, it's long in the tooth. It probably stayed out as Nintendo's primary system about a year longer than it should have. But it's got such an awesome library. It started the whole mobile docking thing that Steam has now definitely now you get a Steam Deck that's directly inspired from the Switch and its success. I still play this one all the time. It is the go-to family console when we're not playing Wii U for Minecraft. I think the Switch is an S tier. You may not like it. You may think it's all kiddie games, which it isn't. When I would get a multi-plat game, if it was available on the Switch, I'd get it on the Switch because then I could play that while my wife and I were watching TV, or I could put in the dock and I could play it on the television. Lots of great games for all types of people. I think it is, well, yes. TurboGrafx 16 and Turbo Express started the mobile docking in 1989. That is true. That is technically true. I don't know anybody who was able to afford both of those in order to do any of that. But yeah, I think the Nintendo Switch is an S tier console, which leaves us to Socrates. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you being here. We're almost done, so if you want to tune in and watch the last little bit later, you can. I do not have a Turbo Express. I have a TurboGrafx 16, but not a Turbo Express. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much, Socrates. I butthurt people and I get $20. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that very much. All right, so the Atari VCS. Good God, I wanted to love this thing. I really did. Ballistic Coffee Boy has been a proponent of this for a long time, as has Funkmaster V, and I think to a lesser extent the 7800 Pro Gamer. John, listen, dude, Jeremiah, you can call me a fanboy all you want. You can't deny that these are iconic systems. FM Towns Marty, yeah, I missed it. Love the VCS. that's part of it. I don't like the fact that they called it the VCS. The amount of times in my reviews that I've wanted to call the Atari 2600 the Atari VCS, and I decide not to because people might confuse it. And yeah, so this is my thing. Listen, I never had. Dude, you thought the Jaguar was S tier. There is nobody blinded more than you, Mr. Thomas. Sir. Okay. All right. Done fighting the chat for a little bit. Not really fighting the chat, it's just fighting Jeremiah. That happens every podcast. Okay, so the Atari VCS lost potential. Unfortunately, CEO changed and took Atari in a direction that was not VCS focused. BCB will tell you that it is the Atari console that has the second most games released. I would counterpoint that with how many of them are VCS exclusive. I want to say that it belongs in the middle here somewhere, but it doesn't. It had, and I have been hurt. Oh, I dropped it and it kind of went where it belongs. If you love the VCS, power to you. Mine is a brick. I would like to point out this S tier console won its generation. This 10 S tier console won its generation, and this S tier console won its generation. I even put one of the Nintendo consoles that won its generation down a notch. So I do not consider myself blinded by Nintendo nostalgia. And I put these ones down here. This one I know pisses some people off. So, okay. Mine's a brick because this is the only console that I've ever got that required you to flash the BIOS when you received it. Now, I know that's not the experience that everybody had, but that was the experience that most people had for at least a year and a half. I'm going to fight you. I'm going to fight you, Jeremiah. He's just mad that the Lemmings didn't buy the Jaguar or the 5200. Power to you if you like it. I wanted to like it so bad. I wanted to like it so bad. And I don't. And that's sad to me. So the VCS goes into D tier for this. Maybe one day I will go and flash the BIOS again. I have heard that they have fixed the problem now. But now like the store is down. Their customer support for this. Like not only did I receive this and it not work, I had to search out and find a Discord that then pointed me to a YouTube video that had links where I could go and download stuff to fix my system. There was nothing on the Atari site that's like, hey, we realize we're shipping you a product that doesn't work. Here's how you fix it. And that right there puts in the D. Yes, the store is back up now, but isn't it like a workaround? But one day, maybe I'll get back to doing that and it'll possibly bump itself up. I could have a lot of fun with it, I'm sure. But as it stands now, that is at a D. So, ladies and gentlemen, after much fighting with the chat, this is where I've come. If I were to do this tomorrow, it would be a different list. So, Jeremiah can chill out. I can guarantee you this one might drop, but certainly the Switch and the NES would stay in S tier. But I could see days where I would put that here. I could see those days. I could see days where I would put these up here. Just not today. So that's my list for today. I'll slide that over. what I'm going to do is after this stream, I'm going to go and post a link to this tier maker in the description. I'll also post a comment with the link here. So, yeah, okay, I thought so. I did see something about that on Facebook. So if you want to do this tier list, please do. I do have a Facebook page. Send me, link me to your list. Take a screenshot or whatever. Let's see what you said, so that I can yell at you for being a Atari Jaguar fanboy, Jeremiah. That Magnavox. It's there out of respect. It's there out of respect, man. I can't do that, Mike. It'll piss everyone off. You know what? You'll get good engagement, and if you can take it in good humor, it makes for this stream was fun, especially when I was indecisive and people were yelling at me in the chat. I actually find that very fun. Well, you know what? So is YouTube, man. I don't know what to tell you. Anywhere you go, if there's anybody else there, you're a lemming. So I'm going to put a link to this tier maker in the description, as well as in a pinned post. If you are a content creator and you want to do this, tag me in your description so that I see it and I can go and I can comment on it. I'd love to see other people do this one. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So I hope everybody was properly lubed and is not feeling too sore right now. Happy Canada Day. If a Canadian just made you really butthurt, I apologize that, but we're hardy folk up here. Canada, where the men are men and the moose are nervous. It is definitely not my last tier list video. I've done a couple of these before. I will do more. They do always get some people. I can add an F line for you if you really think the Switch belongs in an F. But these are honestly, yes, it's not my first or my last. These are honestly so much fun to do because everybody has their own thoughts and opinions. And like I said, I could do this tomorrow and the list would be different. But it was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys liked it. Yeah, stay tuned this week. I'm doing a review of Halo 2600 for the Atari 2600, as voted on by my members to also be done in June. So I'm missing it by a couple days, but there was a tie vote. Future tie votes, whatever game reached that number first will be the one that wins. But for this time, especially because Jeremiah was the one that came in and tied the vote, I figured I'd add that one to my list. So no, Jeremiah. Well, you gave me $2. There, it's at A. Now I'm going to remove that from my screen and I'm going to put it back down at B. Thank you, everybody. I had a lot of fun doing this. We will see you next time at Mike's Gaming Gala.